So, you want to work with Stylus. You have the program, you've purchased everything, and you're ecstatic to jump into animating your project. But, oh no, it's all in Japanese. You can't understand it, and you're not very familiar with the hotkeys either. Worry not. Hopefully after this crash course, you'll have some idea on how to work with the program. Hi, my name is Ed, or also known as Catnip. I'm a cleanup animator and a first keyframe artist in one. Due to popular demand, the program we will be talking about today is called Stylus, part of the Retas, or Revolutionary Engineering Total Animation System. It's a series of animation softwares developed by Celsius. One of those softwares is called Stylus. Stylus utilizes vector-like lines to produce in-betweens in order to aid digital animation all the way from tracing up until painting frames. Once you open Stylus, you'll have to set a few preferences as well as shortcuts, and these shortcuts and preferences are going to be based on what we use in the studio. Once you open Stylus, you'll be met with this interface. These are your tools, these are your color layers. Right now they're all grayed out because we don't have a project. This is your light table window, and this is your layer window. Now go to this second tab over here, E, and then X, and then S. S for shortcuts. Click that and you'll be met with this window. Now in this window we will be looking for our cell shortcuts, and that is this third one over here. I think that means cell. Then go all the way down and look for this option. This means, well, in a rough translation, this means make a shadow layer. A shadow layer, let me visit my notes. Where the hell is my shadow layer? Is that here? Why is it not here? Shadow layer is a layer exclusively dedicated to color fills. This is where you fill closed shapes and objects with tentative colors in order to further identify shadows, highlights, gradients, and etc. Now, in new programs, usually this may not be set, so if I just get rid of that, wherever you want to put your hotkey, wherever you want to assign that make a shadow layer hotkey, just put it on this free space over here, U, and then click this button. This means assign the shortcut to this key over here, and there you have it. Once it's up there, that means every time you press U, you make a shadow layer, or a fill layer, and in this case. Next, the next shortcut we're going to be assigning is the move to center shortcut, quote unquote. Shit, am I even recording? What the fuck? I was recording. Laugh at me. So the next tool we'll be tinkering with is called the move to center tool. So this is a very essential skill in doing in-betweens, is being able to determine the right spacing between keyframes. Stylus has a tool called move to center. This allows you to move any two selected layers in your light table and move them both to the center of your workspace canvas for an almost perfect in-between spacing. Now, to find that setting, we go over to this option, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth option in this tab. This roughly translates to light table. Go all the way back down and look for this option over here. This would probably also roughly translate to quote, adjust position or move images you are editing to the center. And in this case, we will be setting it to the / key. So assign that there and voila. So pretty much those are the only things you have to set for the shortcut preferences. I'm sure there are more if you're willing to discover and go deeper into the Stylus lore. And, but those so far are just our studio's preferences. Next, we'll be setting our actual preferences, not the shortcuts, but preferences. So again, close that window and then go back to E, then X, and then this time go to P, the last option in the window. Sorry, in the options menu. Then finally you'll be met with this window. It should be identical. If it's not, then you're probably doing something wrong. I'm not sure what this says, but all I know is we're gonna be setting our autosave features. We're gonna be turning them on, and that would be these two over here. I think it may or may not be unticked on new programs, but if they're not, definitely check them. So this one over here, this first one, it allows you to save your keyframes every time you switch to a new keyframe, because if you don't have this checked, every time you flick your page, every time you change from keyframe 1 to keyframe 2, it's going to ask you to save, and that's going to be a little annoying, so you don't want that. It kind of ruins the mood, so please do check this. Next would be changing the undos. It should be on this third one over here. I think this translates to cell. These options over here are your undos, your number of undos. I think there's a maximum of 20, but by default it's set to 10. Just max that out to 20 so you can undo at least 20 times. So that's a lot of allowance to fix your mistakes. Okay, so we have a few options over here as well. They're not actually all that important anyway. I think there's only one thing that's sort of kind of important, and it's this option. Yeah, this preference over here. It allows you to cycle your keyframes. So let's say you're at keyframe 10, you only have 10 keyframes and you're at the last keyframe. If you press next, it goes back to the first one. It doesn't just stay at 10, so you don't have to tap back all the way to 1. Next, after you tinker with all these and you have your preferences set, let's go to this tab over here. I think it says color, maybe, I don't know. If you know what it says, comment below. Anyway, this might be, this is probably set to 3 as a default. Here in 1, we set it to 4, since these colors over here, they're actually your layers, your line layers. Black being your main line, the solid line, that's what. Now, this cyan color over here, we usually use this for instructions like timing and all that, naming your in-betweens from A1, A2, A3, so on and so forth. You can choose any color you want, we just prefer cyan, I guess. So once you're done with all that, you're most probably all set, actually. We've just finished setting our preferences and shortcuts. Now we'll be looking at this thing called a workspace. If you press actually F10, you'll see that. If you notice, the interface is slightly different now. You have this thing, it's called the exposure sheet. I'll be talking about that later. So for now, let's open your workspace. So go on ahead and press F10. This should pop up. This is your workspace, and everything you need and everything you need is going to be here. This is the timesheet section. This is the section where you put keyframes, and this is your workspace section. As a sample, we have our original all-in-one as a guinea pig. This is where you put your papers, basically. You can turn that on and off. If you need to navigate, if you need to go to a specific keyframe, like let's say 24, you just click that, and you're at 24. You can actually open it and then scroll through the keyframes if you want as well. So yeah, that's your workspace tab. It's your workspace window. We'll also be setting up your light table. One of the most essential parts in making in-betweens is your light table. You cannot live without this light table. If it's kind of off or crappy, then you're gonna have a bad time, friend. If you go over to this window over here, this thingy I'm moving around, go to this button, click that, and go all the way down to you'll see this pop up. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky, because this is what helps you see, it kind of adjusts your light table opacity. Now you could actually animate like this if you wanted to, but to make your life a bit easier, you should set your preferences to this option over here, this first one. You should tick it, because what is that option for? It actually adjusts the opacity of each keyframe so that you can see the one behind it. And to prove that, pay close attention to her eye over here. So let's go on ahead and tick that. Okay, and observe. And there you go. You can now see the keyframe next to that one. Before it wasn't there, and now it is. This option over here also is very essential because when you're zooming in and out, it maintains the quality of the lines that you make. So you don't want your lines to kind of blur out when you're zooming in and out, because that's it's gonna be confusing once you start in betweening. So just follow these options over here and you should be good for your light table. And that's part 1 of exploring stylus. We're going to do 2 parts due to the length and detail we want to show you guys, so subscribe to see part 2 next week. Thank you very much.
Madali!